Morning, morning. It's Friday, the 12th of June. We're Signal Centre talking ball. Joe Neighbour, Ian Coleman, and Steve O'Hare. Morning, guys.
Morning all.
Morning,
All good?
morning.
Yep.
Yes, all good.
Bit of
Went
a
for
savage session yesterday, wasn't it? Oh,
yeah,
you're going to talk about your run.
yeah. I was going to say
That was the
something.
savage session, was it?
I did. Back to catch two 5K. I did two 8-minute runs yesterday, or jogs,
Yeah.
fast walks.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's a big step for me.
Well
It's
done, mate.
the knee held up pretty well. I've taped it up with that KT tape, and it's
Yeah.
it's working. So just got
Excellent.
to keep on.
What was your distance yesterday? Did you actually get to 5K?
Yeah. It was shorter than we've done. We've done about 2 miles, but like 3.2k. I think yesterday was about 2.8.
Excellent.
So yeah, 16 minutes
Yeah,
in
lovely.
total of jogging.
Good.
Let's see. I'm not looking forward to next week. I think that it sort of like expands a little bit more.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, you've got to do it gradually, otherwise your knees will swell up. So,
Yeah,
yeah, stick to it, mate. It's going. Sounds good.
yeah. Tina's actually doing it because, like, considering after she shattered her leg, we didn't think
Oh yeah, Christ, she
we'd
properly
walk at
broke
one
it, didn't
point.
she?
So
Yeah,
she's doing really well. Yeah.
excellent, great news. Okay, so to markets, it was a pretty heavy selling session yesterday on the equity markets in particular. 7% lower almost on the Dow Jones at the close yesterday. So
Well,
that's I think inside the top 20 of the biggest down days of all time.
Yeah, I don't think Trump's tweeted about it yet, has he?
No, he hadn't said
It's
anything
only the
from what I
it won't
positive
be his
understand.
one.
fault, that's for sure.
Uh,
China.
Yeah, China. A bit of a bounce back today, as you'd expect, just sort of lightening the load a little bit off of all that heavy selling pressure yesterday. But let's just have a quick look at some of the charts. So,
Yeah, I mean, DAX has bounced almost, what's that, about 200 odd points this morning. I mean, it's been sold into a gain, but
yeah,
from the reaction from this morning's low of 11,822 up to 12,060. So you're getting these nice volatile moves coming back.
yeah. I
Vic,
mean, personally, I think it's just going to be another opportunity to sell. It's very often you get sort of a 7% or massive down day like that, which is in isolation. Normally, it's followed up with a few other volatile sessions, isn't it? So I think
yeah,
there'll be opportunities to sell it. Got the S&P on the chart, obviously the most broad index in the US, covering 500 companies, and you can see how aggressive that sell-off's been following the completion of that small head and shoulders top pattern on the hourly charts. Have a look at how that looks on the daily chart, just for a little bit more perspective. We had a pretty nice break of trend there. Has he broken the trend from the lows? Yeah, convincingly. So normally when you get these big moves up and you see big breaks like this, they're often backed up with a deeper corrective period over the coming days. So looking for opportunities to sell that today, I think
hmm
would be my stance. Have we been triggered on anything indices wise this morning?
No, not yet.
um, no, overnight we're short of ASX 200. I think we sold it at 58.50.
Oh, happy days. Have you got
Uh,
the chart? You're not showing your screen at the minute.
no, I have got a chart. Let me see what this looks like on the chart. This is the hourly chart.
You need to show your screen, Steve.
Oh, sorry. Just in my own little world. All made sense to me.
There you go.
Yeah, so
Oh, nice
quite,
hit on the
yeah,
reverse of
it's,
the trend line.
yeah. So wrote this when we were, what was it? Was it selling a break? I can't even bloody remember. That's
Let's have a
dreadful.
look.
It's only a few hours ago.
Still a break, yeah.
Yeah, selling a break. So wrote it around here, selling a break of 58.50. Had a decent move down, got down to 57.54, not quite down to 57.00, which is the target. It's only a 2-to-1 risk reward. But we've had, what I like is it's broken the trend line. It's had a nice pullback to the trend line and then rejected it again. So fills me with a little bit more confidence on this. Although if you're sort of like a bit cautious, you could bring your stop down to 58.85, which narrows the improves the risk reward on the trade overall, but and limits your loss. Um, I think yen, yeah, I was looking to sell. Nikkei, I was looking to sell it that bit higher, but you can see VIX has spiked, as we said yesterday, got to that 30 level. Where was it going to go? Was it going to calm down again? No, it wasn't. It was a great indicator now, if we look at it, of spiking back up. So looking for elevated levels, as Joe said, over the coming sessions, probably pushing that up towards the 47 area, which is quite a key level, probably a 50%. Well, I mean, 50% retracement of the move up. But what is it of the move down? That's about a 38.2 to 50% retracement of this sell-off lower. So watch out for that.
As a minimum expectation, I'd expect a 38.2.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. So the only other market I really liked the look of this morning, or bit of confidence in it, was this. We picked this out yesterday. I think it was my gun to the head trade, selling the head and shoulders, getting in a little bit early. We've saw the break of the neckline, and we've seen this pullback, and these throwbacks are a good opportunity to sell, because you've got a limit on the stop, so it's quite a tight stop, whereas the target level is down at 118.25. So getting short.
Throwback Friday today to the next.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, shame it's not Thursday.
Yeah,
because it's sort of like goes, doesn't it? Throwback and Thursday.
If you look at Aussie yen, you can see something similar as well. Just throw that up. You've got the head and shoulders top there, and it's having a bit of a go at correcting higher, which may just be a test of the neckline before it sells off again. I'm looking to sell around 74.08 on that this morning.
Oh yeah, you can see that there.
This is Euro New Zealand dollar, inverse head and shoulders bottom. It's a bit of a weird one, but looking for a dip back on that to buy. A bit of a bottom pattern there on Euro Oz as well. So just looking to buy and sell into these pullbacks today, following the big moves higher and lower yesterday. Gold. That was fairly. It was resilient yesterday, but it didn't sort of really go too crazy. It's had a bit of a dip back today. I still think that's a buy on dips. I was looking at a couple of gold mining shares yesterday, which I think look pretty good value this morning. They've opened up a bit lower, representing a decent opportunity to buy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think gold, that continues to march higher, particularly if there's continued uncertainty and volatility in stocks.
Yeah.
Ian, are you looking at anything on the FX front?
Just yen crosses really, but I think we might get these sort of corrective moves higher, like you're saying. I mean, this is $yen 4 hours. That's the previous swing high there at 108.08. And just opportunities to get to try and get into it. This is the bespoke resistance as well, around about 108 the figure. And if you look at the big picture, which this is the big picture, I think we're going to get rid of that fib. A full ABCD correction takes us down here to around about 104.15.
So you'd favour yen over US dollar in the pullback?
In the short time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, in the long term.
In the long term, yeah.
Picture one as well.
Yeah, I think so. And then that's something I'm going to have a look at for the gun to the head, just as an intraday trade. I think dollar Swiss could have a decent push to the upside, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Well, you've got. I might as well do it now then, don't I?
Well, yeah, okay. Well, we can have a quick recap on yesterday.
Yeah.
Before we do, so we had winners on.
Not me
Sterling
again.
New Zealand dollar, which was a 1R win. That was pretty flat, really, given how volatile the markets were yesterday. But a win's a win. I'll take that. And Steve, you had a nice win on Euro Yen. Dipped back a little bit into the 9 o'clock. Close, but you had the honour yesterday.
What did it close at 9 o'clock, Joe?
I've got 120.78.
Yeah, just checking.
And Ian was stocked on Euro Sterling.
4 losers in a row.
Yeah, I'm not sure you'll get that back on track.
My record is bigger than that, mate. You're small fry compared to me. What's mine?
I'm not going for the. I'm not going for the rule of 9.
Yeah, I can compile some stats on that another time. Find your losing streak. Yeah.
All right,
Nine,
all
that was
right.
a 9. There's a 9 there. Anyway, overall, that puts us looking pretty nicely, just
Yeah,
below
going back up.
previous highs, and yeah, going in the right direction. So, hoping the volatility will be kind to us again today, and we can pluck
I'm diverging with Joe and converging
some
with
winners.
Steve.
Mm.
Convergent
What-
divergence.
Yeah, what is that? What is the it's sort of like the the name for that?
Convergent
Oh,
divergence.
I'm sure there's a film called something like that.
Right, go on then, Ian. Tell us what you got.
I'm just looking at this. I think we might have a risk on day, just corrective. Nice doji candle, dollar Swiss daily chart. If it breaks that level there, then well, actually that level there, 95.20, then it's a morning doji star formation. If you took this triangle formation from here, it's completed the measured move target. If we go to a shorter time frame, and the more I waffle, the more it'll correct lower, I hope. I think we might form a reverse head and shoulders. So the prime entry is obviously here, but the measured move target on a break, so basically dip to buy into, and then a break of this level, this previous swing high, and the measured move target is 95.45. And I've got some bespoke resistance at 95.60, so this range is looking like a nice target area. So I couldn't find anything really from market, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to have to take this from here with a stop there. So it's only 3.28R, but it will get me back on track if I get it. So 94.49, targeting 95.45, stop at 94.20.
Lovely. Best of luck.
So
I'm taking a look at Aussie yen. So, touched on it earlier. Got this head and shoulders top pattern that's played out. We broke through the neckline quite convincingly there at 74.50. The measured move, so taken from the top of the head to the neckline as a measured target, came in at 72.16. We didn't see that yesterday. We got as low as 72.53 before we bounced quite aggressively. So I'm taking a look at the fib retracement from the top of the right shoulder down to the lows yesterday. We've got a 50% level that comes in there at 74.07, and I've got a little bit of resistance too just in front of that, 74.09. So a nice bit of confluence to target. It's our level, intraday level is 74.08, so I'm going to jump in front of that, but just means I'm going to have a wider stop. So we're going to have a stop at 74.48 and target the completion of this head and shoulders top down to the target at 72.16, so 2.85 R from current levels. If you're following the intraday analysis, then the R is obviously better, looking for 4.7 on that one, but going to jump in now at 73.87 on the short side.
good luck. Got to be in it to win it.
You do. Steve, over to you.
There's two I'm looking at really. The euro yen I mentioned, the pullback, the throwback to the neckline. I'm looking to sell a little bit higher on the intraday, but very tempted to do this to get short here. However, this hourly candle has put me off a little bit, so I'm going to look at copper. Now I've tried a couple of times to hit this daddy. And the real thing that excites me about this one is it's the early stages of a potential head and shoulders formation. We've got this shooting star candle on the hourly chart. Volume, you can see, is dropping as we're forming this potential right shoulder, I should say. And we've also this candle here, although it's slightly positive at the moment, it's a bullish hammer. So I'm going to take a really aggressive short trade on this, and the stop will be super tight. We're actually looking to sell a little bit higher on the intraday, so I am going to go for stop there, which is we're getting short at what is it, 260.85, is it? 260.85, and I'm going to target a move back to there. The stop, I could even be super tight. Let's be really ultra aggressive. 61.85. and then we'll do 55.85. We are 5-1.
Nice.
5-1 shot.
Lovely.
It is like going to the races and backing a 5-1 outsider.
You don't fancy targeting the measured move
No,
over the head and shoulders?
no, I'm going to be sensible. If I wanted to target the measured move, it'll be like something like
30-1.
Yeah.
Gotta be in it to
No,
win
but
it.
I'll that sort of don't try and tempt me. If I did that, it would hit this target and then bounce up and stop me out. So I'm not going to do that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, good luck with all the trades today, gents, on those. Just over to the news front. So we had some numbers out this morning from the UK, which was focusing on the obviously economic picture of the United Kingdom. GDP for April hitting a record low of minus 20.4. That was worse than the expectations of around about 18 or minus 18. And they were no better when drilling down into the specific subsections, with manufacturing production coming in at minus 24.3, industrial production at minus 20.3, and the construction output at minus 40.1, which was clearly battered in April. So not looking great. Obviously, what spooked the market seems to have been a combination of a weaker outlook offered by the Federal Reserve and an increase in the number of cases of COVID-19 in a few US states, just as obviously we're talking about easing the lockdown further. So, it shows that risks are still very much there for everybody, it would seem. Anything else on your radar, guys, news-wise?
No, I just saw this in the New York Times. This is just a map of the world.
There we go.
Just a bit of a map of the world of falling, staying the same, and rising areas. I
think Russia's jumped up the leaderboard. I think it's the second worst now in terms of number of.
Is it?
Cases, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and look at the size of Russia as well. It's sort of
like no way they're testing across the whole country, is there?
No,
but I'm sure some parts are pretty remote.
We've seen the sort of like the higher numbers in more densely populated places, really, as far as Europe and the US is concerned. But
Where's the red one at the top of Africa, or is that Europe?
No, Libya. I mean, sort of like you're talking about quite low numbers, 7 and up to 26, but it's still a percentage-wise, it's still a big one. Iraq is pretty decent jump up as well, and Pakistan is 2.5 times what it was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
You want to sort of like I mean, Australia's obviously doing quite well. Mainland China, I wouldn't trust much from their numbers that are coming out. Kazakhstan and sort of like Europe, Sweden obviously is the one that didn't go into lockdown and seems to be suffering quite badly as well. So it's still prevalent across the globe.
Absolutely.
So
you don't want those blues turning into oranges, do you?
No, ideally not.
So with that in mind, when we started seeing a real sort of aggressive selling starting in March, we were going over into the weekend periods and coming back on Monday morning, and things were just through the floor. So there was, it was pretty not safe, but if you held positions over the weekend, you were fairly confident that news was going to get worse over the weekend.
Yeah.
And things were going to be pretty horrific come Monday. Do you feel that would be a similar situation to now, based on that big jolt in the market yesterday?
Well, there's potential for that, isn't there? Because even when sort of like one of the big countries come out and say, "Oh, we're going to add another trillions worth of stimulus," it sort of has obviously it has a positive effect over a period of time, but it doesn't really jump. The market doesn't jump. I don't know what else they could do to sort of like put a real positive spin on it to get the market rallying. But I'm always sort of shocked and surprised about what they're doing. So
I think all eyes are going to be on the reinfection rates, aren't they? For these,
and
when everybody's
the R rate is it sort of like how many people you can infect or whatever. Yeah. I mean, at one point,
short-term trend is it's increasing again, isn't it? So
I mean, Trump said that even if the infection rates start going up again dramatically, he's not going to close down the economy. or he's not going to put restrictions back in. So, I mean, that's a bold shout. It could have horrendous effects.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Sweden, I think they didn't take action straight away, did they? But then they were criticised after that because I think in general it worked, the sort of herd immunity side of things. But I think I think the criticism they're getting is for neglecting a lot of the older population, which obviously suffered.
Well, I mean,
badly.
didn't they lock them down, or they did?
I don't think they did enough.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't the report a report about the UK basically saying that if we'd gone into lockdown a week previously, then they'd reckon that
the deaths.
Half the death.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like it's obviously an obvious statement. Now, looking back in hindsight, you can say loads of things like that. You can say if we locked down from January the 1st before it actually occurred, we wouldn't have any deaths.
Yeah.
And you're always going to get the media sort of trying to criticise the government's handling of it. And yeah, they may have made mistakes. I don't know all the details, but a lot of these media outlets don't. And a lot of the scientists coming forward and saying, the infection rate was known as being 3, and we should have locked down earlier. Even a week earlier would only be 10,000 deaths.
A week earlier, we wouldn't have had Cheltenham Gold Cup and the Champions League game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like looking a little bit what we do. We look historically as what the patterns have emerged and sort of like moving forward, thinking about how we'd sort of like do things in the future. And I'm sure there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this. But you can't sort of there was at the time there was a lot of people saying that the herd immunity could be a way to go before we realise the extent. And I think a lot of that is down to China, who covered up the extent of the whole crisis. You can learn lessons from maybe Italy, and again, but that seems to be quite an anomaly.
But we're not going to know the knock-on effect of the rallies either, are we? For another 2 weeks, because they're basically saying that's the incubation period. So
there's a load more planned for this weekend actually in various cities. I think they've boarded up a lot of statues and monuments and bits and pieces to prevent them from being vandalised, and I think there is some rules being put in place to fast track getting people imprisoned as a result of any vandalism.
Yeah, lock them up, mate. Throw away the key.
I think there's the Black Lives Matters protests going ahead, but also there's a far right demonstration as well going on.
Saw that. So I think that's footballers. Football.
The hooligans making a comeback.
I think it is. I think the football's starting this weekend, and obviously there's going to be a lot of people congregating.
Next weekend, isn't it? Starting.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was the 17th.
They're having a warm up this weekend. It's the friendly this weekend.
Right. Yeah, but it's sort of also I read the World Health Organization released a statement saying that the chances of catching it from an asymptomatic person haven't been proven.
Right.
So and the catching it from surfaces as well is very difficult. Well, not made up. I mean, it's obviously possible if someone sneezes and sort of all their bodily fluids are all over a surface and you sort of start to lick it. But let's hope people don't go around doing that. Just use some common sense, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's hope so. Okay, only data point I can see today is the US Michigan consumer confidence figure, which is due out at 3 p.m. Expected the index to rise to 75.9 from 72.3. So maybe some volatility in US crosses come 3 p.m. But all in all, I think there's probably going to be some more volatility today. So be careful if you're trading, and careful if you're holding anything over the weekend as well.
Apart from if it's gin or something like that.
Yeah,
be extra careful.
Go long. All right, okay, gents. Well, good luck with your trades. Good luck for the rest of the day, and
have a good one.
Weekend.
Cheers.
Yes. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.